All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I'm istherenoonelse, and today's video, I wanted to show you guys what I was running on my dragonknight for all my meme videos, so you guys can check it out. We'll go through the build, show you what I was running for no CP, show you some adjustments you can make. Just an idea to get you guys wanted to talk a little bit about the setup, and then talk about why I think it needs adjustments, and yeah, other things that you can do. So let's dive into it. As far as consumables go, I am running Witch Mothers because I am cheap right now. You do not have to run Witch Mothers. You can run Orzorgas. Orzorgas would be great in this situation. I'm not going to put Orzorgas on for a meme video. So laugh at my food all you want. I am saving ESO gold, which is invaluable to me at the moment. But yes, Orzorgas would be better, especially if you decide to use hybridized stats. Very, very nice. A lot more stat dense than Witch Mothers. As far as our front bar set, we are running Potentates, and this is a 3-piece set that you get out of Cyrodiil. Sawman did a video yesterday talking about the set. It's not very good. You shouldn't run it. Wink, wink. But yeah, reduces your damage taken from players by 3%. Reduce the cost of your ultimate abilities by 5%. Because you're running Oakensoul with this build, you miss out on a. You can't run a back bar 5-piece. Obviously, the 5-piece is offset by Major Courage, so you still get the value of a 5-piece by running Oakensoul. But what you can run with this is you can run a 5-piece, a 3-piece, and a 2-piece with a 1-piece trainee, which is what we're doing here. So we're running a 5-piece body with a 3-piece front bar and 1-piece trainee and a monster set. So this is a lot of damage mitigation, or ultimate reduction, as well as some damage mitigation. I would preferably do Nirnhoned on the main hand, and then either Decisive or Charged on the offhand, whichever one you prefer. I'm running Shock and Poison. I also do not have Nirn Research, so I can't do that. It has really not a big effect on my damage. My damage is, it's Oakensoul. Oakensoul has damage. So running Shock for the vulnerability, Poison damage for the other dot effects. So with Charged, when we proc the Poison, we get a little bit more stamina return. Up to you on how you want to do that. But yeah, preferably Nirn main hand, and then Decisive or Charged offhand. We're going to have a lot of ultigen, so I feel like Decisive on the front bar isn't a bad choice, but that's up to you. That's up to you on what you think is best. Bloodspawn for the monster set, just generating ultigen once again. Our damage is going to come from corrosive. It doesn't matter what you run with Oakensoul. You can run what I'm running with no damage at all, and I'm still hitting 14k whips and no CP, and that's without dual wield passives. That is without Bloodthirsty. It just hits really hard regardless. Now, personally, I preferred the sword and board of Potentates. You can do either one, but dual wield works fine if you want the extra damage. Obviously, sword and board is nice if you want to block cast a little bit more. I did like the block casting a little bit more personally, but that's up to you. As far as the body set goes, we are running Eye of the Grasp. Now, there's a bunch of different sets you can run here. I'll go through why I'm running this. On PCNA, I am a Dark Elf. I don't have all my passives in. I don't have my Undaunted. I'm a Dark Elf. I'm a Stage 3 Vampire. I don't have my Heavy Armor leveled. And so I kind of wanted the sustain of reduced cost with Light Armor. And so I thought that this would work out a little bit better than Heavy. Obviously, if you run Heavy, you could run like Akaviri Dragon Guard. There's a lot of ultigen sets you can run. You can run Champion of the Hist. Champion of the Hist, if I remember correctly, is Minor Heroism. You can get Minor Heroism from pots. And so this is actually more ultigen than Minor Hero than Champion of the Hist. Plus, you can also still stack Minor Heroism. So if you ran like Heroic Slash, which I wouldn't recommend, but more often than not ultigen pots, you can stack the ultigen cost reduction of Potentates with Bloodspawn, with Eye of the Grasp, and Major Heroism, and that will give you a large amount of ultigen. So I like the idea of Light Armor. That's why I'm running this over Akaviri Dragon Guard. We just needed to hit with a critical strike every 5 seconds to generate 7 ultimate. It's a solid set. It really is a solid set. Obviously, see, it's not transmuted. I have Impen, Infused, Sturdy, whatever. This is super cheap right now. Super, super cheap. There are other options. Like I said, I just went through a few of them. Champion of the Hist. You can run Akaviri Dragon Guard. You can run Shock Exoskeleton. Sorry, I'm getting attacked by a beetle here, so I have to establish dominance. So you could run all those work out just fine. This just gives you a little bit more ultigen, and if you have more ultigen, you can block cast a little bit more. You can get into your corrosive more damage, yada, yada, yada. So we're just, once again, with this build, leveraging ultigen to get into corrosive to hit really hard. These should all be infused weapon damage. You see I have spell damage on here. The reason that is because I was using this for another build, and it may or may not be the healer build that I was running that I said I wasn't going to share. So that's why these enchants are the way they are. These should be infused weapon damage. And the reason we're doing weapon damage is this passive right here. We're running the Mountain's Blessing passive. When you cast an Earth and Heart ability, you and your group gain minor brutality for 20 seconds, increasing your weapon damage by 10%. Now, you should have really good uptime with just corrosive and minor brutality, but if you want to run fossilized, that's also that will also proc Mountain's Blessing. So that's why we're running that the way we're running it. Weapon damage would be better. Obviously, if you can sustain medium would boost your damage even higher. I could not because I don't have all my passives and everything. I didn't want to make a bunch of adjustments, and I wanted to leverage some more ultigen, so that's why we're running Eye of Grass. But that's up to you. I'm not saying this is the best. This is just what I was using, giving you guys ideas for, you know, how you can leverage these sorts of things. As far as skills go, Coagulating Blood, Flames of Oblivion. I think this is one of the better. I mean, you can run Engulfing Flames here. I do like Flames of Oblivion because it's really cheap and it hits pretty hard. So if you look at this fully buffed, we're hitting 7623, and this is kind of the spammable. And so if I can find an ad here real quick. So what I often do when I'm in Battlegrounds with this is I'll spam this, and if I come on, buddy. So if I see him getting low, then I fossilized, and then I hit with the whip. And so oftentimes the whip is the finishing move because it's a lot more expensive. This is 2K Magicka. This is $22.49. It's a little bit more expensive, but this is so cheap. Plus, it buffs our Molten, and so it hits multiple people. It's our way of doing AOE. If you want to run Engulfing Flames here, you can. This flex spot, you can fit in a lot of different things. You can fit in chains. I've seen chains used extremely effectively on a corrosive DK, because the only way you can really get away from a corrosive DK killing you is by having speed, using streak, line of sight, trying to get away. Well, one of the morphs of chains is a free to cast thing. And so if you don't pull the person, it's free. And so you can literally spam chains on people over and over and over again. And until it pulls them, they're free. And this ability also stacks your Molten. So this will also stack your Molten Whip. And then once you do pull them in, you got full stacks of Molten, and you're hitting 14, 15K whips pretty easily. Obviously, you can hit a lot harder, but 14 and 15K is enough to kill most people, in my opinion. So yeah, like I said, this is without the dual wield passives. I'll show you that. Fossilized, you could put chains here as well. If you want to replace your hard CC with a soft CC and then run Vigor for a little bit more survival, you can run Misform. Those are all the skills that I would consider running, but I do think Flames, Engulfing need to be on your bar, one or the other or both, with Molten Whip. I think Molten Whip's the best way to play it. Corrosive is going to be your way to survive. Like you just get Corrosive back so quickly that you just have to be able to stay alive for a little bit until you get Corrosive back again. So we have 184 ultimate on this, and I'll show you guys what that does. But yeah, if we look at my dual wield, I'm missing out on the Twin Blade and Blunt passives, which increases my sword and weapon and spell damage by 71. So I'm missing out on some weapon damage here, which isn't a huge deal. But yeah, I'm missing out on a little bit of damage with the dual wield. And so I'm also missing out on Undaunted. And ideally, I would like to have 2 Bloodthirsty with weapon damage, and then 1 infused weapon damage. And then I could have some extra finishing power at lower health, and that would get my killing power quite a bit higher. And so, yeah, as far as potions go, I'd run tripots. If you can afford the major heroism or minor heroism pots, you should 100% run minor heroism. And I wanted to show you guys just kind of the idea of the ultigen, because, you know, there's been some thoughts that you can't really leverage a ton of ultigen. But the thing is I am a Dark Elf on this build, and Dark Elf does not get ultigen like Nord does, and you also don't get cost reduction like Imperial does. And so there are other better ways in order to stack ultigen. And so you can be other races and have this going for you. So we're not in combat yet. Now we are. Now I'm just getting in combat so you guys can have an idea what my ultigen is. And so it's actually quite a bit. You can just see it shooting up here. And And yeah, it's just a metric fuck ton of ultigen. As I get Bloodspawn procced, as I get Eye of the Grass procced, you just see everything shooting up. I'm not even running Minor Heroism pots yet. And you just see an insane amount of ultigen. And so you can see that with a race like Nord, with a race like Nord, with Bloodspawn, with Potentates, with Minor Heroism pots. Like, I'm missing one ult every 5 seconds from Nord. I'm missing Minor Heroism, which is one ult every 1.5 seconds as well. And you just see it shooting up. And so I'm not saying this is the best. I'm not saying this is the best way to go about doing it. But it is a good way to generate a ton of ultimate and yeah, get into corrosives really quickly and really leverage Oaken Soul for what it does the most. And so people are going to ask why I'm posting this. Well, you got to bring awareness to it. Like, everybody in the game is already running it, in my opinion. Like the builds that you're running across are already running some form of something like this. Like, whether it's Akaviri Dragon Guard or Shadows of the Hist or Shock Exoskeleton or what I'm running, Eye of the Grasp, they're running some form of lots and lots of ultigen. And so they're able to get into the corrosive really quickly, and corrosive gives you full pen. And so even though we don't have a ton of weapon damage, now keep in mind that our weapon damage isn't super high right now, or our spell damage, because we're missing 2 infused weapon damage glyphs. Like, we go well over 5k. I think it's 6k fully buffed, if I remember correctly. 6k weapon damage with 30% crit with major force. It's a lot. That is a lot of damage with a lot of ultigen, and then we get full pen as well once we get into our corrosive. So it is so much damage, so much tankiness, and being able to leverage a very good ultimate, an ultimate that was already very good, and you just basically abuse it with these types of ultigen sets makes you a very tough kill. Because it doesn't take long for you to get your ultimate back. You need to stay alive and block cast and line of sight just a little bit to get back and be able to go full offensive on an Oaken Soul build like this. So yeah, I've talked about this a lot on other videos, and it's my opinion that the major heroism is very busted. There's lots of ways to build it, and the only reason it's extremely busted is because Oaken Soul gives major heroism. A major heroism with 100% uptime. All these other sets by themselves, it's not that big of, it's not as problematic to have these other sets have this ultigen, because the most problematic one is this one with major heroism with 100% uptime, but it's also major berserk and major force. So this carries your damage and your ability to abuse a set. So you don't need other offensive sets to hit hard with this. A 14k whip and no CP is extremely powerful. Like, that is extremely powerful. I've seen people hit much harder because they're running actual damage sets, which is more than fine. I just kind of wanted to show you guys how you can actually leverage very high corrosive uptime with this. And obviously, once you get into corrosive, it's 12 second. Like, you really need to be getting piled on in order for you to take damage while you're in corrosive. So this isn't the only DK build that can be abused, obviously. Like, you can use Leap. Shifting Standard would be absolutely disgusting, because you can, I mean, you get it down to 207 ult. You can have this, and it lasts for 29 seconds. Like, you can have such ridiculously high uptime. Dare I say you should be able to have 100% uptime with something like this with a very, very similar build. And so, yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide it in the section below. Like I said, all these DKs you're running across are running some form of this. Like, this is what they're doing. And even if they're not, they're running high damage that can hit even harder than this. And the reason they're able to get away with it is because, yeah, Oaken Soul doesn't have the downside that Oaken Soul defenders think it does. It just doesn't. So yeah, fully buffed, I have like a 21 or 22k Molten, if I remember correctly, which it's not super high. Like, you can definitely get the tooltips a lot higher on other setups, but I kind of like the idea with just really high uptime on an ultimate like corrosive. So yeah, that's the end of this video. If you have any questions or comments, please provide in the section below. I will do my best to answer it. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.